If you or someone you know has been struggling to get the Spire of the Watcher Ultimatum all gold run completed, then I want to put this video quickly together to help you out. Now, obviously, most people probably aren't struggling with the opening and aren't struggling with the ascent, the whole connecting the dots part, but it seems a lot of people are struggling either with these Harpy boss or specifically the final boss. I wanted to go and put in a few runs together, and it took a lot of time. I've done a lot of helps this week, and I finally have figured out personally what I think is the easiest thing for you to do to get your clear. Now, obviously this is the only thing you can do, but I've done a lot of runs this week, and this is what I found to make my runs go the smoothest, and the majority of them getting done in less than an hour, a lot of them being about 45 minutes. Now, for the third encounter, what I call the Harpy encounter, using Queen Breaker obviously I think is the best choice. However, if you don't have a Queen Breaker with the Catalyst or don't feel very comfortable shooting in like the 3-burst mode, you can get by with using Sleeper Simulant. Sleeper Simulant with its Catalyst, and especially with particle reconstruction, is really strong and is a lot easier to fire one shot versus firing and having to like aim very well with the 3-burst. So if you're struggling with Queen Breaker, just put on Sleeper. You won't do as much damage, but you'll be really consistent and you'll pretty much still 2-phase if all 3 people use Sleeper. The biggest issue obviously are ads and the Minotaurs and the Harpies. What I like to do is I like to connect all the dots until I get to the last node. I'll go around and do all of the lines of all 4 lanes, except don't close them. Because of the way you have to do it with the mechanic and the symbols and stuff, you obviously have to close them in order. So what I will do is I'll connect everything and then do some ad clear. And once I've done ad clear for a little bit, then I'll close 3 of the 4. You want to close 3 of the 4, so when you close the 4th one, you don't get the extra wave of enemies that show up. Closing 3 of the 4 will then allow at least the majority of Harpies to show up. You do a lot of ad clear, and then once you've done, I like to do about 80%, 90% of all the ads are gone, then I will close that final one. At that point, the only thing you need to worry about are any enemies that are on that lane you're going to be DPSing at, and then it's just like normal. You just break all the eyes and then DPS. The big thing is you want to make sure you stay close to the boss if you know you can burn his health down past that white bar. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, just go about halfway down and then damage from there, and then once his back closes, just jump back into the hole down at the floor and then proceed to the next phase. The most important thing obviously with the whole revive system is to not die or get knocked off the map, so it's always better safe to do a safe strat instead of trying to do something, you know, crazy and die. Personally for this, I prefer a 1 well, 2 Nighthawk Hunter strat for this. Obviously I've done it without Warlocks, I've done it without Titans, I've done it with all Titans, I've done it with all of the versions you can do. And what I find to be the safest, most consistent strategy is just having a well halfway down. The Nighthawks activate their supers earlier, and then just move forward, sit in a well, and just shoot your sleepers and Queen Breakers until he, closes, and just jump down to the little hole underneath the bridge and just let the blast go past you. Now, let's be honest, a lot of people seem to be struggling with the final boss, and rightfully so. If you don't know how to maneuver the inside room and the outside room, and knowing how to bait or deal with the boss, you're gonna have a lot of issues. Luckily, I have a few rules that I can play by that makes this room significantly easier, and a few tips for how to make it where the boss is just going to stand there for the majority of the time, and to help you with ads, and to help you with heavy, which are all things that people are going to struggle with. What I like to do is I like to have one person do the mechanic, one person bait the boss, and one person deal with ads. Obviously that's one of the other 2 people can be a helper for the mechanic. What my team normally does, what me and my helper does, is we'll have one person kind of deal with keeping the boss away from me and keeping the boss away from the ad clear person. So the ad clear person deals with all the ads, and the person that's dealing with babysitting the boss outside will connect the dots for the outside section. Meanwhile, I'll connect all the inside. Obviously, a lot of times I'll just do it all by myself, but it makes it a lot easier for us to close the nose as quickly as we can. What I like to do for the first section is I like to close both of them as quickly as I can, because we have all of our supers, we have all of our ammo, and the less time we're spent hanging around with the boss, the better. Nothing, you know, out of the norm. Just go through the lines as quickly as you can and get to DPS. Obviously, if you didn't know, 1000 voices is fantastic, because with the 1000 voices, you're going to be able to stagger the boss. Now, I know a lot of people struggle with 1000 voices and getting the stagger consistently. One thing you want to make sure you have is your Well of Radiance user needs to have Ember of Ashes, or whatever that fragment is. That will allow the additional Scorched to like stack up quicker, and it will allow you for the ignitions to pop off even more. I don't know why Ashes is a must for this, but with the Well user, they're the ones that are creating way more ignitions for the entire fire team. So if you're having an issue with 1000 voices isn't staggering the boss consistently, then you want to make sure that your Well user has that fragment on. Now, once you get through the first damage phase, everybody wants to instantly go inside, because once you go inside, at the same time the door is going to close, the boss always comes outside. Now, obviously, you always know the left and right doors are able to walk in and out. However, at this point, what you do is you have one or at least two players just stand by the boss at this door. Because of that, the boss will not worry about ads, will not worry about the other player, and will constantly look at you. Sometimes he'll get away, just shoot the door, and he'll prioritize you. Meanwhile, while this is happening, your third player is going to put on a lithium. A lithium is that exotic stasis grenade launcher, that primary one where you can make heavy and make special. What they're going to do this entire time is slowly shoot the Hydra left and slowly shoot the Hydra right. Doing that is going to charge up a whole bunch of the stacks that you need to where you can just make your own heavy off those enemies. With a heavy scavenger or a solar scavenger, each brick is going to give you 2 1000 voicing shots back. So if you do that, you can make all your heavy and then go right back out and go right back to DPS. The reason I like to do this is because a lot of times people will run around trying to make heavy off of like special ammo finishers from the artifact with lead from gold or gold from lead. Because of that, you're going to have the boss running around the entire time. This makes a strategy where it's consistent, it's easy, and once everyone has heavy, they can go right back into DPS really quickly. I also like this because you have to wait for your supers anyway. Obviously, you'll get the super faster technically if you get a bunch of ads, but a death here, a death there, and you're basically starting over. This is a much more consistent strat. And if you're doing this with LFG, if you're doing this with friends or whatever, and you're struggling with the final boss, I would highly recommend giving this a shot. Just sit there and just have the one player just constantly create a lithium shots. As long as there's enemies out there, they will generate it. However, you want to make sure that they kill the Hydras because they're going to generate the most like heavy charges for you. A lot of times my helper would do it. He would make anywhere from 4 to 7 bricks for us. And obviously, if you have a heavy ammo finder and heavy ammo scout with it, any random kills will still generate a heavy finder brick for you or for them. So a lot of times I was able to have max heavy again. I would have my super, and then I could go back into the room and instantly like connect everything and go right back to DPS safely. It seems like a terrible or weird strategy, but if you're someone struggling with this, activity, and you just want to get gold, I would highly recommend giving this a shot. Now you would think, well, that one person that's doing the lithium, they're not going to have heavy either, which is not true. Obviously they have to take off 1000 voices. 1000 voices has no ammo because they just used it, and put on a lithium, but that's fine. As long as they don't walk over the heavy, they'll be able to pick up all the heavy. Takes about 6 bricks to get back to max ammo, and you're fine. Every time this was pretty much a 2-phase every single time. And if someone doesn't have 1000 voices, you can do sleeper. Sleeper is not terrible here because it is body shot damage, especially with particle, is pretty strong. And I think I've said it a few times, I think it's a really good strategy. And if you're someone struggling to get this done, give it a shot. It's really, really hilarious that the boss doesn't really prioritize you until the door is open. And as long as someone's watching the door and keeping him at there, especially if it's a Titan, with like the barricade, the whole tanking thing that it does aggroes him and makes it even better. With them staying there, you can then connect out the nose and instantly go back to DPS and then just two-phase them. This allows me to do a lot of 30-minute runs of the fools. You know, I don't wipe a lot doing this strategy. A lot of wipes might be just from some silliness happening, but if you're struggling to get this done, I feel like I've said it more than necessary, but I just want to really harp on this because I've had a lot of people coming through that might have gotten the clear but haven't gotten gold. I've had a lot of people who have just struggled with getting their buddies to help them get this done, or you know, just living through this, or sometimes just having ammo to make this a two-phase, because two phases versus a three-phase is very, very highly likely if you don't have ammo. Hopefully you can take these tips and take this, you know, guide that I have put together for you to help you and your friends or you and LG get this done safely and efficiently. If for some reason you still can't get it done, feel free to come by the Twitch stream. I'm doing helps every single day of this, and we'll help you get your all Ultimatum gold run completed in no time. As always, I'm gonna leave the rest of the video up of the clear of the kill the next, I don't know, 1 minute, but I appreciate you watching the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.